Locked in my decision to have a collision with my purpose. It is my assignment to be in alignment with my purpose. I'm locked in, going all out, no fear, no doubt. My God, my choice, your will, I'm all yours. Locked in, going all out, no fear, no doubt. My God, my choice, your will, your will, your will. Locked in my decision to have a collision with my purpose. It is my assignment to be in alignment with my purpose. Have a collision with purpose, 'cause you know that you're worth it, and your dream is worth capturing. If I'm not living on purpose, then none of it is worth it. My assignment is uplifting souls for the King, souls for the King, souls for the King.
Greetings, greetings, friends of the A Collision with Purpose movement. Welcome, welcome to Bridging Generations, Voices of Men in a Changing World. I am Dr. Laxley Stephenson. This groundbreaking podcast delves into the multifaceted experiences of men across different generations. In an era where societal norms and expectations are rapidly evolve, this show offers young and older men a unique platform to voice their challenges, triumphs, and perspectives. Wow, I have a big show planned for you tonight. You can see there's a different look on the screen. I have my co-host, Donna Thompson from, no, I should say none other than Miss Donna Thompson from In the Spotlight. But we have some important announcements to make tonight. So Donna is on and she's going to help us with the announcement. Mr. Juan Marcel, my regular co-host, he will be on shortly, and Mr. Augusta Foster. They're running a little bit late, but we have a packed show for you tonight. We're going to be talking about responsibilities of men, and especially in a changing world. We're going to be talking about parenting and all that good stuff. So, Donna, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing this wonderful Thursday evening?
I'm doing awesome. See, we have Mr. Art Hines, our good friend, on, and we're going to be having an engaging and interesting conversation with him tonight. Mr. Art, how you doing, sir?
I'm feeling fine. Wonderful. Glad to be here.
Awesome. We also have Mr. Garfield James. He's on as well, and we're also going to be talking to him about all the things he's doing in Jamaica and in the world. Mr. Garfield James, how are you, sir?
Good evening, everybody. I'm doing great. Is that question for me, Doc?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. It's really always hard at the moment when I get a chance to tune into this program, and I'm happy to be on and share and to listen to others who are so inspired.
We'll work it out. So we'll just work with what we have, right? Because that's technology. And so, gentlemen, just take a look at yourself on the screen. Make sure you're seeing yourself as you want to be seen by the public. Just there you go, Brother Hines. Appreciate that. Well, Donna, what is happening? What's going on in February? We want to talk a little bit about that tonight. And that is so important where we have Mr. Art and Principal James. They play such an instrumental role, powerful role in our first book, A Collision with Purpose. So, and now we're going to do it all over again, a colloquium, right? Daily Insights Unveiled, personal odyssey to find purpose. So talk to us about what's happening in February.
Yeah, so February, we'll in our annual colloquium again. That's going to be February 22nd at the Shiloh High School, and that is in Snellville. If you were there last year, you know that it was just a remarkable experience. Once again, it's going to be where we'll honor individuals in the community who have been, doing the work, the humanitarian work in the community, and they just may not have been recognized. And we want to take the opportunity to recognize those individuals for the work that they continue to do on a daily basis with serving our community and our community members. And of course, we'll have some guest speakers, we'll have entertainment, we'll be giving away scholarships to students, and and definitely the grand thing that will be happening, of course, will be the launch of Daily Insights, written by Dr. Laxley Stephenson here. So it's just going to be a fun evening of entertainment, networking, and it's really a platform of really getting motivational speeches, and just kind of like, if you haven't been following your purpose or allowing your purpose, or a little bit lost or whatever, it's just a place where it kind of like just really reignite that fire stick that you have inside of you to just go out there and continue the path and just do the work that you need to do. So it's a great evening, and I encourage everyone to come out and and enjoy the evening with us. And it's definitely worth every minute, every second, the hours that you spend with us. And I think if you ask anyone who was there last year, they'll say the same thing.
All right. So a colloquium, and it's all about unveiling your purpose. And Mr. Hines, you will be one of our honorees, right? So just share with us how you feel about being honored at an event like this.
Oh, it's a wonderful thing, because I'm a long-standing advocate for collision with purpose. I think it's a very timely topic. I think it's kind of like pregnancy whose time has come. It came at the exact time that it should have come, and I was just glad to be a part of it. I'm looking forward to the next event.
And that event is right around the corner. And tonight, Augusta, thanks for joining. We're talking about the colloquium, right? And I know you have a lot to say about it. So just jump in.
Hey, so yes, if we're talking about this amazing event that's coming up February of 2025, that was an event that if you missed out last year in February of 2024, that you absolutely don't want to miss. It was amazing, and I've said this countless times, and I'll keep saying it. It's amazing to be a part of something from the ground floor and to watch it grow and to see all of the work and the effort that goes into cultivating it. So for not seeing people be recognized who, at times are overlooked and deserve that recognition, not just to network, not just, to come out and support family or whatever reason you would go. It's for all of those things and more. The opportunity to sow and take part into something where you're actually seeing the fruits of the labor. You're able, the people who are doing this work and achieving these things, the people who are active in their communities, those of us who were recognized, who were taking part in the book, speakers, it is amazing because these people are tangible. It's not like at times where you watch an award show or someone receives something on television and they're so far away. It's a great feeling to have those people doing those things, and they're tangible. You could touch them, you could see them, you could talk to them. So I absolutely encourage anyone, if you haven't purchased a ticket, yet, you're already hustling backwards. You're already behind the ball. purchase your ticket now. Not coming out to see me or Dr. Stephenson or Art or Miss Donna. Come out to support and see something where we're actually doing the work, and the seed that you're sowing, you can see it grow live and in person.
And talk about doing the work. So at the first event, In Pursuit of Purpose, that was some decoration. That place looked like somewhere else, right? When I walked in and I saw that centerpiece that Miss Donna did, I was totally blown away. But what she's working on for this event, because she already started working on it, by the way, it's going to be something out. I don't know where it's coming from, but it's going to be huge. It's going to be powerful. It's going to be amazing. And it's going to get you, as soon as you walk in, it's going to get you into that place where you're realizing that you're here for one purpose, and it's to discover who you are. And that is exactly what Unveiling You is all about. Daily Insights Unveiled. You know, I just got off the phone with the editor, and I'm going to talk about her a little bit. And she had about 10 minutes conversation with her, and she said she has never edited a book like this. Her words. She has never edited a book like this. I don't even know if she wanted to say it, but we're here to tell the truth, right? So that's what we do. That's what we do. So tonight we have a big show. We're going to be talking about responsibilities for men, fathers. We're going to go into the whole becoming iron thing, tales of courage and conviction. You know, still waiting for Juan, Marcel to show up. And once he show up, we're going to get into it and we're going to go deep into it. I have some serious questions for these gentlemen. We have Principal James. He's all the way across the ocean in Jamaica, and they're having some rain there. So, of course, heavy rain, I'm told, heavy rain. So there's some internet challenges. And we have here with us Mr. Garfield James, or Mr. Art Hines. So we're going to get into a really deep conversation tonight. When I say deep, it's going to go deep, 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 deep. So, Donna, anything else you want to share with us?
No, I'm just happy to, you know, be a part of you young men forum here. So I'm looking forward to hearing the conversations about parenting.
Well, you know, I noticed that Matthew from, let's see if we can find his comment and bring him up.
Okay, sure. He is watching us from Liberia.
Yeah. Matthew Wake. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. And he expressed that he would like to join us. So, Matthew, we will get in touch with you and we'll have you on the show next Thursday. So if you're hearing me, give me a thumbs up. Give me a comment. Say something in the comment if you're hearing me. We plan to have you on the show next Thursday. All right? So be prepared. Reach out to me on the Facebook thing, and we'll go over the details with you, okay? So if you're hearing me, give me a thumbs up.
I didn't get one yet, but
You didn't get one.
Not yet.
Not yet. All right. So he's still there. So anyway, what we're going to do now is we're going to take a quick break. And we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and jump into our discussion. So we're going to go iron. We're going to go hard in this break. So just stand by, folks. We'll be right back.
A trail is written of hearts that strive. Through fire and flame, they find their way. Becoming iron where courage holds sway. Becoming iron, with heart forged in fire. Tales of courage and conviction rising even higher. Displaying strength in the fiercest fight. Becoming iron, shining in the night. Faces the darkest night. The empowered man fights with all his might. The resilient man stands unwavering and strong. The inspired man knows where he belongs. Together they rise, conquering fears. Becoming iron through trials and fears. Becoming iron with hearts forged in fire. Tales of night. The empowered man fights with all his might. The resilient man stands unwavering and strong. The inspired man knows where he belongs. Becoming iron knows where he belongs. Becoming iron, shining in the night. Becoming iron, with hearts forged in fire. Tales of courage and conviction, rising even higher. Displaying strength in the fiercest fight. Men becoming iron, shining in the night. Brave man faces the darkest night. The empowered man fights with all his might. The resilient man stands unwavering and strong, shining in the night. And the tales of old and the battles new. Convictions light sees them through. From abysses deep to the morning light. They becoming iron in the endless fight. Becoming iron with hearts forged in fire. Tales of courage and conviction, rising even higher. Displaying strength in the fiercest fight. Men becoming iron, shining in the night. In the tales of old and the battles new, convictions like season through. From abysses deep to the morning light, they become iron in the endless fight. They become iron in the endless fight. Tales of old and the battles new, convictions like season through.
Men becoming iron. Tales of courage and conviction. Conviction light sees them through. What about that? Augusta, talk to us about becoming iron.
Man, biblically, it speaks to iron sharpening iron. And, iron is when you look at iron historically, it's a very strong, it's a very dense, it's almost a rare metal because it's used to not just sharpen itself, but it's iron as a tool is used to sharpen and assist with others. So just even the process of making iron there's so much heat, there's so much pressure, similar to like a diamond, but there's all of this work and this effort that goes. And once you're done, you get this amazing tool that you could do so many things with. That you could cut other tools with, that you could shape other tools with, that you can use to build upon things. One of the strongest, you have iron girders holding up the majority of your buildings that get built. So this really strong substance comes off a lot of effort, a lot of persistence, and a lot of pressure. And it responds by maintaining strong through it all.
You talk about shaping and becoming something. And let's take it in the perspective of becoming iron, that man. Now, that man is taking on responsibilities, right? Have certain roles and responsibilities. So how would you define the role of that man, a father, in today's society? And how do you believe this role has evolved over time? Let's bring that question to Brother Hines.
The role of a man as father, I think today's man has a lot of responsibility that needs to be acknowledged and executed with our children. I think for too long, we've allowed the children, especially our boys, to slide in a position where I think it's not the best position, the best light that they can be in. I think as a father, we have a role to play to make sure that we are doing our part to work to get our sons and our daughters back into a position where they can become that iron man, that strong man. So I'm so glad that you've chosen this topic because that's part of my passion. I work with children, especially wayward boys for a long time, and I think there are so many opportunities that has been missed. So I think bringing it under the spotlight is a wonderful thing, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
We're happy to have you on board. Augusta, you want to take that question on as well?
Yeah, I agree with Brother Art. I've spoke with Brother Art about 2 times. Once in real life and once on here, and a lot of his sentiments I agree with. I think as a younger father, in today, young but not young at the same time. It is challenging, and I think there's so much of fatherhood has changed from how it's defined and what roles to play. But I think one thing that hasn't changed over time is presence. But the fact that presence is needed, activity. We've been saying it for a while. Active listening, presence, the want to be there. I think there's now I could say as a young father, my oldest daughter's in high school, my youngest is in kindergarten. I could say I think the difficulty that I've seen now from myself as a parent and the hell that I put my parents through, specifically my father as a father, is there's so much. It appears like the world is so much more heavily involved in the affairs of parents. So I think that is, back when I was younger, there was the school only had so much, control over me. It was, hey, get back, to your parent and this. Now there's just as a father, there's so much that I have to compete with for my kids' attention, for my kids' times. And there are so many options for them to go, well, I don't want to listen to my dad. He's a little too hard. He's a little too soft. It's a little too this or too that. There's so many other things that they could just so easily get involved in, the internet, social media, just the world itself. So that I think has changed. There's so much competition as a father for you to maintain just your kids' attention, to be able to show them the right ways and teach them valuable lessons. There's so many other places they can get it, and it is a daily effort to outpace those things that are trying to teach them that aren't me.
You talk about lessons, and as men becoming iron, we're shaped and formed to take on certain roles and responsibilities, right? It's a purpose defined, right? A purpose that we have. So what are some of the lessons or values that we need to pass down to future generations of fathers? And why is it so important that we pass these lessons down?
Well, I think we're on the right track in more ways than one. The first thing that comes to mind is to have them seek purpose. That's one of the initiatives that we've discussed recently. Not only have them seek purpose, have them seek it to the point where they can name it. If they can seek it and name it and then frame it, I think we're playing a very vital part in their life if we can get them started at that point alone. So I think that should be the first and foremost lesson that we should be working with our youth. Seek purpose. And I think from that standpoint, I think we can move forward in a more productive way.
In a more productive way, because of course we're shaping the next generation for them to be more productive citizens. Right?
Exactly.
That's the ultimate goal. So let's talk a little bit about mentoring, Augusta, and influencing younger men in our community to prepare them for that responsibility. And the number one responsibility, of course, is what? Fatherhood.
That's right.
So let's talk a little bit about that.
Oh man, it's amazing. We were just in a space last week in one of the men's group that I take part in with Black Men Heal, and the topic of fatherhood came up along with the topic of mentorship. And I mentioned, those two are one and the same. And I think, one of the other, I don't want to call it a failure, but really it is a failure. One of the failures that we've seen is you have a lot of men who that responsibility is upon them, and it's very easy for a lot of people to go and mentor other folk. I recall having a conversation with an individual who I know, who I love dearly, and they're coaching in sports at a relatively high level at a known institution. And he has a son that's about 11, and he hadn't talked to his son in about 2 years, since the son was about, at this time, around 7 or 8. And I just was mind blown, because I thought, you're working and you're mentoring these people, these possible future athletes and all these, possible millionaires, but you don't have time to mentor your own son. Like, you don't have time to invest there. And I think there's such a level of importance in being that mentor. The most important mentor, the most important coach, the most important person you could be as a father with children is exactly that father, that mentor, that person who's sowing into them. It's great to go out and do the work in the community. I love feeding the homeless. I love seeing the smiles on people's faces doing service. I enjoy it. But I would be remiss if I go out into outside of my own walls and do that investment and do that work and do that mentorship and have it at that level of intentionality and not pour it into my own kids. So it's extremely important that you recognize you are the mentor, you are the molder, you're the potter, your children are the clay. And when you understand that in that house, the words you say, the actions you take, the things you do, it's far more important than anything you'll do outside of the four walls of your home ever. Those kids their legacy is going to last further than you, because God willing, they live longer to you and they carry on the things that you taught. So that mentoring and that fatherhood, it has to start. You've got to do it with your kids in the home before you even think about going outside and doing it.
Right. Let me read the comment from Mrs. Hilda Hibbert. I think that each generation has been at a disadvantage because parenting has deteriorated. Being a father which once was a carried pride has lost its set to generations who have destroyed it by taking same too casual. Many fathers have tried and have been successful in directing their children towards their purposes. Sadly, peer pressure has impacted badly, as well as lack of true mentors. No, we're talking about mentorship, but let's talk a little bit about peer pressure. Art. Let's talk about peer pressure.
Oh, peer pressure is very devastating to our children, because children will tend to follow peer pressure before they are willing to follow their own parental advice. Peer pressure is very strong. Unfortunately, their peers are generally relatively the same age as they are, and they need mentoring themselves. So not receiving that mentoring in many instances and then passing on that pressure to others, there's a misinformation deficit that's happening with our children. Peer pressure is very strong, and it's very hard to overcome it, because for whatever reason, peer pressure is a built-in force that our children listen to, and they listen to it very intently. I think one of the advantages that we do have is we have the ability to keep our kids in our loop in some instances, and they get to learn from us. They get to learn from what they literally see. They get to learn what they see in the home. And in many instances, that's an advantage for the parent, because they will generally have more time in the home than they have out with their peers. They can watch their parents, especially the father who in many instances are absent, but at the same time, if he's there, that gives him an advantage, an opportunity where he can show the child as an advantage to the child. They can see the problem solving and other issues that are very important to life. They can see it firsthand. So I think every advantage that we can find that can offset the peer influence, I think we need to use it.
Mhm, mhm. Of course. So, Art, just a quick suggestion. Just back off the mic a little bit when you're talking, because we're
Okay.
not. Just keep it right there, right in that spot. Don't go towards the mic. Just stay right
Okay.
there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, keep there. Right. You tend to sometimes when we talk, we tend to lean forward. All right. So good stuff. Good stuff. So yeah, great answer, Art. I appreciate that. You know, we're living in a different world, right? In a changing world. And as we say, voice of men in a very challenging world, right? So there we must learn how to adapt, but not just adapt to the right things, embrace the right principles and practices, right? So how do you as men address the challenges and stereotypes that modern fathers face? And what advice do you give to younger men who are becoming iron? And how do they overcome some of these challenges? Augusta, I think you're on.
Wait, say that again, Doc.
I think you're up. Do you want to repeat the question?
Yeah, because I'm trying to. I saw. I don't know. Our screen froze. Okay, go ahead, Doc. Ask the question again.
Now, we are living in a time where younger men, they're on deck to become iron, right? To take on the responsibility of becoming fathers, becoming leaders in their community. So how do you address the challenges and stereotypes that modern these younger men will face or facing? And what advice do you give to younger men to overcome some of these stereotypes?
Yeah, whenever I'm in a space or have the opportunity to talk to younger men, specifically those who are already fathers, one of the first things I tell them is not to feed into the statistics or the lies that they see on the news. We talk about, you spoke about peer pressure. I think one of the things that causes a lot of peer pressure is, social media, the news, outside noise. We still run around with this trope that, black fathers aren't present, black men are more locked up than they're in. And every time, those are refuted, those numbers never took into account, the brother who was the trade worker or the real estate agent who wasn't in college or in prison. They don't take into account when they do those census numbers. They only run those for married couples. They don't think about, the non-married couples who happen to be cohabitating. People ignore the fact that black men spend on average more time with their children than 15 to 20% more than their peers who are white, Asian, and otherwise. So I try to tell them, get away from what you hear that is nonsensical. Actually read, look into it, look around your own community. You see other men who are present, who are active. So I try to encourage them, hey man, write your own story. Don't let people attach something to you that's not to you. You have the ability to be active, you have the ability to be present. And I keep saying this is like the fourth week in a row. Fatherhood, regardless. You can't let family, you can't let a court system. You have to have the want to be a parent to your children. It's very easy, and we do see it still at, the number is still far too high for me, but men who just walk away, and whether that's they're upset with the mother, they're tired of marriage, they're tired of life, it's too difficult, they weren't prepared, whatever it is, they walk away. And that's still too high because they don't have the heart and the want to do it. So I try to tell them, hey, you're molding the next generation of people. And very often, we try to give, I think we try to give our children gifts and things that we didn't have, this video game, these shoes. And so often really like the answer is money. And last week I think the pastor said it good where he said, how do we spell love? Love. How do kids spell it? Time. Intentional time, listening, being there. Everything, the answer isn't always going to be $1. And outside of that, really teaching these young men and encouraging them, you can write your own path. You can build this legacy. It's already started. Be everything that you lacked, everything that you didn't receive, everything that wasn't poured into you. that pain feeling, you know, as somebody who, you know, my dad left at an early age and I had an amazing father who raised me, that pain feeling, I was able to fill that void, you know, going through therapy and prayer and speaking with my birth dad. But really, once I had kids, realizing that I don't want you guys to feel this way and giving them the exact opposite of what I got, giving them things that I did not receive. And that is what is needed. So I encourage these young men, give them everything that you didn't have, not financially or tangibly, but give them everything you didn't have emotionally, spiritually. Give them the heart, give them the time, those things that you knew you needed and you didn't get. Don't repeat that cycle of not pouring in. Fill into your children with that.
I have a couple of follow-up questions. I want to ask Donna a question. Donna, how do you manage a situation when your son's friends and they're getting everything that they want? Probably not all good things. And you're telling him no. How do you deal with something like that?
How do I manage that situation?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think, well, for myself, I'm probably not a typical mom, let's say, because I really have open dialogue with my son. You know, I have really real conversations with him, where I've always, you know, when we go shopping, ever since he was a kid, you know, we always looked at stuff and I'm like, okay, let's compare prices. Let's see how much this costs. You know, is this something that we need? Is this something that we want? Explaining the difference of need and want. And so for myself, I honestly, knock on wood, I haven't had an issue with my son in that sense. He's now 15 and, you know, if we go to purchase something or even if he sees something that he likes, honestly speaking, he will look at the price before I do. And he'll tell me, he's like, that's too expensive. Like, I really don't need that, Mom. You know, so, and I think it was just, you know, it was just basically really having really good conversations with him and, you know, explaining life really and how to really spend your money and, you know, the value of your money and things of that nature. So
So what I'm hearing from you, it's not dealing with the situation when it pop up. It's to prepare your child way in advance.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm hearing you saying. So now here is this child, right? Here's this child. Everybody else is out there. He's not dressing like popular movements. He's looking different. He comes home, he said, Art, Dad, they're making fun of me. They're mocking me because I'm not wearing my pants down below my ass. They're making fun of me. How do you deal with that?
Well, I think you have to assist them with the facts of life. Now, the facts of life take so many different looks and feelings. One of the facts of life in dealing with that specific issue is what are the benefits of wearing your pants down below your butt. And I would give them plenty of time to think about it. And then I want them to come up with a very good, logical answer. Generally, they can't do it. It would tend to go back to peer influence. And we've talked many times about the devastating effect of peer influence in many instances. Now, there are instances where the peer influence can be good, according to who the peers are. Now, sometimes the parent can get kind of creative and helping them to the exposure of peers who may be less likely to want to wear their pants below their butt. And the peer influence from that particular direction is a good thing. And on the other hand, if there is, for some reason, the child has a tendency to migrate toward the child who's exerting peer influence on them and is wearing their pants below their butt, then there may be an opportunity for you to intervene. You can intervene with the peer and see if you can get the peer on board and let the peer know exactly how you feel about it. They may not have had an opportunity to have an influence of that kind. Their father or the parenting skills of their parents may not be equivalent to what you're capable of giving them. So, just look very closely at what kind of opportunities you can find to solve the problem. And I think it all boils down to problem solving. And I think as a good parent, that's our responsibility, to help them solve their problems. And wearing their pants too low is a problem.
And it is a problem with how are our children getting information? Who are they getting information from? Who are they getting information from?
Don, you said your son is how old again?
He is 15.
Yeah.
And I can tell you,
a
lot of information is from school.
Yep.
Content that is introduced.
Yep.
And as a parent, you really have to be involved and look at content that is being taught so that you can redirect, explain, and navigate, because there is a lot of content that the children are that they are being exposed to at a very young age, and a lot of them at their age, they really don't understand what to do with the content that they're being that's being introduced to them.
They sure don't. All right. You almost had it at the right spot. Just bring your head down a little bit. That's perfect. Just keep it down. Bring your head down a little bit. You're perfect. And no movements. Perfect. That is perfect indeed. And Donna, so where are we getting information from? But the problem with that is we're getting information from where we should be getting it.
Mm-hmm.
But we're getting bad information from where we're getting or where we should be getting our good information from. So that is the problem, right? Now, I did a piece where we talk about ask questions, challenge, everything. Every traditional thought that we're working with that we're living with, challenge every single thing. Because a lot of that information came to us, we don't even know the source. We don't even know the why behind this information. So I'm here to say that my thing, for me personally, challenge assumptions. Question everything. And okay, and why? And why? And why? The more why you ask, the more accurate the information will be. And the more you'll be able to decipher and determine what is factual, what is truthful. Because we're living in a time when our politicians, they just make it up. They even making it up in school. They are. They just making up as they go along. Okay, this sounds good. Let's teach this today. There's so much we as us information we're carrying from years, and we don't even know the source and why we're carrying that information. And that is the information that is the foundation of our thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So are we messed up? If we as parents are messed up, can you imagine our children? So before we can even teach our children and give them good information, don't we need to get fixed? We need to make some course correction, right?
Immediately.
I think that's where
Immediately.
where are we getting information from?
Mm.
We need to pay attention. We need to challenge things. We need to challenge things. 'Cause I believe that we can learn so much from our children. I think they're more curious and they're more apt to question things than we are. Sometimes we tend to fall in line. Parents too often. So the question though is, are we reading enough? Are we waiting for others to read and tell us what they're seeing on the pages and transfer that to us? Is that what we're doing? Are we reading enough?
Well, I think generally we are not. You know,
No.
I think there's plenty of room for improvement on what we read, and I think the source of our readings. I think we're missing a lot of opportunities for help. There are institutions such as church, for example, that is generally there to help dispense good life-sustaining information. And I think in many instances, we don't take full advantage of that. You know, I think we could take better advantage by helping them to get involved in organizations that is designed to teach and pass along information that is life-sustaining information. I think, you know, instead of us trying to do it alone, I think if we can take them to church, or if we can encourage them to go to church, you know, preferably take them and let them see what you do and how you do it. You know, if they see an example, it's probably a little bit better quality than if they just go and get it on their own. And, you know, we're sitting at home watching TV or having a beer. So I think, you know, there's opportunity. We look for, there's opportunity out there where we can find that it's helpful to us as it relates to our passing along the best information to our children.
You know, and I have no doubt that there's opportunities out there, all kinds of opportunities to learn. And again, we must always question the source, because not all learning is good learning. Not all teaching is good teaching. So we must develop whatever the necessary skills to examine the information that we're seeing, that we're receiving. Now, not all things are equal in life, right? Not all churches are equal. Not all schools are equal. Not all jobs are equal. As individuals, we all bring something different to the table. How do you know if you're in the right place? Let's take church, for instance. How do you know that you're in the right place where church is concerned?
Well, from a personal standpoint, I have to square the information I'm getting from my church with the information that is given by the Bible. I use that as a hallmark as to the quality of the church that I'm attending. Now, if it's a church that is a Bible teaching church, to me, that's what I seek. If it's a church that is making up things about prosperity or whatever it is that is not Bible based, then I tend not to put a lot of time into that kind of a place. So that's why I think it's very critical for you to take that child to church so that you will know firsthand what is being taught there. So, you know, if you send them, then there's a chance that, you know, they may be getting information that you didn't realize. Oh, I thought, no, I don't think, go and see. So
You know,
that's my position.
I'm listening to your
that's
talk.
real.
I'm listening to your talk. And I know when you're going into school, you go visit the school, you talk to the principal. When you're going to get a job, while they're interviewing, you're interviewing them as well, right?
That's correct.
Should we be interviewing our pastors and the leaders before we make a decision to join the church?
Well, you know, my position is I think if I sit in that space over time, I can discern for myself without actually having to interview them. I just listen.
That's real.
And if I listen well enough and square that against what the Bible teaches, you know, I don't feel a need to interview them, because I think, you know, a lot of times you interview a pastor, he's going to tell you what he thinks, you know, you want to hear. So I just let him tell me what I want to hear without having to put him on the spot. And then observe what he's telling the whole congregation or the whole world if he's got that format. So, you know, I prefer to do it that way. I guess it could be done, you know, with an interview, but my personal preference is just listen.
So your preference is to show up, spend some time, weeks, 2 weeks, whatever it takes, and then listen to him and or her, you know.
Exactly.
And that's valid as well. And I also believe it's valid to go and check them out, talk to them.
Yeah.
What's in their headspace. Because, you know, and I say that because of all the things that's been happening and that's happened over time. You know, sometimes you're in the church forever, for years, and you didn't pick it up.
Yeah.
You didn't get it. That's the danger with hanging out. And then you find you're in the wrong place for a long time.
Yeah.
As opposed to taking it on yourself and be more proactive.
Yeah.
You would do with anything else in your life. So I think that's the danger in just go hanging out and say you're going to check it out. Because we've heard stories of after 10 years and that's the person.
Yeah.
So, and again, is that important for parenting? Because we need to teach our children that, right? How to make good decisions, not just, you know, schools and all those other things they do, but also which church.
Yeah.
To call home.
Exactly.
Critical. You know, in our communities, the church plays such a powerful role, right? In our community, I'm talking about us, Black people.
Yeah.
Church is strong. We depend on the church. Where government fails, often the church fails, right? They provide services where government tend to fail us. And that's why it's so important. Juan, welcome. We're talking about responsible parenting, active parenting, and all that good stuff. So right now we're talking about how do you make a decision about which church you should attend?
Well, welcome everybody. Good to see everybody. I think what Art touched on, it sounded pretty good. I know for me personally, it's a few things for me. You know, I when I was, you know, going through the, you know, Bible college and just all of this stuff, you know, I actually just going back a little bit. My mom is an elder in the church and she's a teacher. So she always taught in our church. And so she would always tell me, God gave you a mind for a reason. So you got questions, you need to ask your question. Don't let nobody stifle, you know, your thought process and stuff like that. So I've actually got put out of churches for asking too many questions. So that's what I look for. Like when I go, what are they teaching? And is it sound teaching? Because like Art said, and even you touched on this, Doc, like a lot of times in churches, we are preachers are saying, what gets people hyped, gets them emotional, they're moved and shouting and everything. And then they leave and can't even tell you what the pastor or preacher talked about. And so for me personally, it really is like, is it sound teaching? Because I want to know. I mean, I have questions even as I read and study, so it matters. Matters a lot.
Augusta, you want to jump in on that?
Yeah, I think I agree with Art's point, specifically on the time. You have to be able to discern. I would say, in all aspects. Church is a major foundation of kids. Like, it sets some level of a standard, and I do think that you need to figure out some time, like your discernment needs to be there in all things. I could compare, for a not equal comparison, but another comparison, even that time, how much time is too much time. I've seen people too many relatives who've gone to school, bachelor's, master's, doctorates, and it might be and say, I went to school for mathematics. They don't work in their field. So it's like, so you invested all this time and you didn't end up where like it went. So it's like, well, how much time did you need at that school? Like you picked 9 majors in 5-6 years. So it's like the same, like it's not lining up. Like you're going back and you're not really getting anything out of it. You keep changing your mind. So now the same with church. You need to know, is this where you're going to be? Is this where we're going to set up shop? Where's the discernment that shows, hey, this is a word for me. I like their work in the community. I like what the pastor preaches. It's lined up biblically, but you have to do your research. Sometimes it does take a little bit more time, but discernment needs to be there. I think it's a huge benefit of your child to go, to church, because and the right church, because it sets a standard. I'd also say, to something else Art said with regarding your children and going to church, go with your children to church. And the reason why is realistically, I have 2 other people now in here, including Juan, people with young junior high school age kids. I can't go to class with my daughter in high school. I can't go to classes with my son. I know I have an inkling of what the school teaches, but I can't physically be in that classroom. But where they go to church, well, I could go there. I could hear the word that pastor preaches. I could see the direction. I could see, is he biblically sound or is he just pulling stuff out of his butt? I can hear that. I have more control over that instance of setting that standard and laying that solid foundation of good biblical teaching at the right church. I don't get that at the schools. My kid, I got to send them off, and then they're there. And then when they return from school, I ask all my kids every day, hey, how was school today? It was cool. It was fun. From the youngest to the oldest. It was cool. It was fun. You can ask them, what did you learn today? They can tell you all the activities, but it's hard for them because it's so much other stuff. But you could go to church with your kid and share that information, and y'all have that likened experience where you're both learning something maybe new biblically in that day, but you could monitor what they're learning in the church. When they go to school, you're getting whatever you get from the parent-teacher conference or whatever the parent teaches tells you over the phone, but you can't be in the classroom with them.
And for context, we're not talking about going to church. We're talking about going to the right church. How do you say?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying.
Not for the context. For context, the right church. How do you make that decision? And how do you make that decision? That is the argument we're having. How do you make that decision?
Discernment.
We're living in a time when we all agree that challenges. Things are different. Things are changing in front of our own eyes. How we get information, the source of the information is everything. And not just the source, but how we now examine this information and challenge the information, because we cannot take anything for granted, can we? Can we? And the way information is coming at us these days, you don't even know what is the truth anymore, what is factual. There was a time when, depending on who was telling you, you say, okay, that must be accurate, right?
Yeah.
Not anymore, is it? Not the way information is coming. So consider that now for the new generation of fathers, of men. How do they deal with that? Because if it's so challenging for us now, Is it going to get any better? So how should they deal with that? What is your recommendation or suggestion to your children?
I always say, don't be afraid to ask the questions, even the hard questions. If the questions that boil over, the things that you just wonder about, ask them. Do your Augusta said it, do your research, but ask the questions. I think a lot of times we don't, as things change, as life changes, community, culture, just all of those things, we all sit back and we watch things, we see things, and we read things, and there are questions that come up when we're observing these things. And I think you should be in a space, even if you're not in a space, because I think there are times we're in a place where we don't feel comfortable enough to ask the question, but still ask the questions. I think that's one of the biggest things. Ask your questions.
Where should the first question be directed?
I guess who's in charge?
Look in the mirror.
Yeah.
That's the first place. That's the first person you start a question. Do we ask ourselves enough questions? Do we take time for self-reflection or introspection? I think it starts there, right? I think that's a great place. Now, this is Bridging Generations, Voices of Men. I think this is a good time to take a break. And then when we come back, we go back deep into the topic of, what are we talking about? Roles and responsibilities of men who are becoming iron. So we'll go there. Let's take a quick break. We'll come right back.
A trail is written of hearts that strive through fire and flame. They find their way, becoming iron where courage holds sway. Becoming iron, with heart forged in fire. Tales of courage and conviction rising even higher. Displaying strength in the fiercest fight. Becoming iron, shining in the night. Faces the darkest night, the empowered man fights with all his might. The resilient man stands unwavering and strong. The inspired man knows where he belongs. Together they rise, conquering fears. Becoming iron through trials and fears. Becoming iron with hearts forged in fire. Tales of courage and conviction rising even higher. Displaying strength in the fiercest fight. Becoming iron, shining in the night. Becoming iron, shining in the night. The brave man faces the darkest night. The empowered man fights with all his might. The resilient man stands unwavering and strong. The inspired man knows where he belongs. Becoming iron knows where he belongs. Becoming iron, shining in the night. Becoming iron with hearts forged in fire. Tales of courage and conviction rising even higher. Displaying strength in the fiercest fight. Men become.
Right, welcome back to Bridging Generations, Voices of Men. Welcome back to Bridging Generations, Voices of Men in a Changing World. All right, so we're talking about parental responsibilities, and what are some of the most important values you believe fathers should instill in their children, and how do they ensure that these values are consistently reinforced? Let's start with Art.
Well, I think it's important to take the role as a teacher to your children. And teaching has a lot of components to it. One in particular that is very important and very critical, I think, is critical thinking. Critical thinking has to be taught. And I think, for example, if you hear a story on television and it's showing a plethora of black on black crime, for example, and you tend to think, well, you know what? Every time I turn on that TV, is a black kid and shot another one and killed him, or this or that, or this or that. And it just makes the casual observer think, well, all these black folks do is kill each other. Now, once you apply critical thinking to that, if you kind of dig in and find out what is not being shown in the media about the black kids, and you dig a little deeper and you find out that, yeah, we see a lot of crime on TV executed by these black boys and, gangs and so forth. But at the same time, our children attendance into institutions of higher learning is at an all-time high. Why is that not being highlighted in the media? I worked for a pharmaceutical manufacturer one time and I was shocked. We came out with a new, what they call, this is during the age when they said $1 billion product was $1 billion product. That was a milestone. Everybody wanted to get $1 billion product. So we had the opportunity to go behind the scenes in the manufacturer, and it's in one of those clean zones. You have to put on all of these space suits and all just to go in that room. And for the shock of my life, when I was able to get behind the scenes into that secluded room that nobody gets to see very often, I saw the bulk of the top scientists in that place were black people. I said, well, why didn't I know this? Certain facts are being controlled for whatever reason. So I think, just assuming that because I saw, this black on black crime on TV in the 6 o'clock news and I don't see nothing else, you have an obligation to have your critical thinking kick in and find out, well, what else is going on that is not black on black crime, kids killing kids? And will that impact my thinking? So I think it should. So I think critical thinking is a very important part that, you as a parent has an obligation and the responsibility to teach those children to take a look at this. Yeah, see what you see, but at the same time, dig and find what you don't see and see how that impacts the big picture.
I think critical thinking is just a powerful tool, but at what age do they start to teach it in school? Is that when you're in college, or do they do that at the lower levels?
Well, they're supposed to do it. They're supposed to do it throughout school, but what literally happens in the classroom and what is supposed to happen, sometimes they don't compute.
And I'm thinking of a specific course called critical thinking. Is that offered in high school, middle school? That's in college, right? When you get there. And a lot of
generally that's in college, yeah. But at the same time, a high school teacher has the right, the responsibility to teach critical thinking. Some do, some don't.
Yeah, I think it depends on the school and district as well. I was a post-secondary counselor as well as a teacher teaching college readiness a year ago, and one of the part of the curriculum was critical thinking for juniors and seniors. They were high school age.
Yeah.
Should definitely be taught in an organized way and not just dependent on the teacher. But
Yeah.
it should be a structured course, is what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Should be a required course. Should be a required course. So important it is.
I agree. Yeah.
I've taken so many different classes, and I think the ones that are most beneficial to me are some of those philosophy classes and critical thinking classes. That's the information I carried forward.
Yeah.
Carried forward. You know, some of the things you learn about business, you lose them as soon as you get out of the class, right? You take them to pass, right? The critical thinking stuff that stay with you. The things stay with you. So, all right, great point. We're not doing it enough as we are not doing the things that we should be doing enough, you know. So great point. You know, now let's talk about experience, right? Our experience and how we make decisions ourselves. What are some of the standards you use to make decisions, Augusta, and that you should be passing on to your children?
I think the main one, you know, is that standard, that foundation, you know, biblical foundation. Hey, listen, you know, not to throw even the bracelet that was popular in the 2000s, the what would Jesus do? But, you know, telling them, hey, listen, just consider God, consider Christ in all things. You know, acknowledge him in all of your ways before you do things. The other thing is I tell them is with their decision making. Hey, look, don't think of me or, you know, or your mom.
Now, how you make decisions, not
Oh,
that.
how do I? Oh, no, that's how I make decisions. And I show them that same thing. Like it is before I do anything from the turning to the purchases, I go, all right, let me consider God with this. Is he edified with this? Is this something that aligns with him where making this decision is going to allow me to progress where he needs me to progress? And I emphasize that to them, you know, specifically to my oldest, who gathers and understands that, hey, listen, I know you don't like listening to a whole lot, but if you make A, B, and C decision, how is that going to affect you? A good example that I'll make quick is her last year in junior high school, before going to high school. It was a close call. And every time I spoke to her, I just emphasized, hey, listen, it's cool. You know, I ditched a lot of class. It's cool to ditch class and not pay attention and to do this and to go below the standard. It's cool to do that until now you reap the outcome. You've now reaped what you sowed. Now you're having to rush and hustle. Now in the future, what do you know? Yeah, I really should pay more attention. I really should do this. Yeah, those decisions you make, think about that. And that's the exact same approach I take. I tell them, hey, how is this going to affect you? Not in the moment for that momentary gratification or happiness. How's it going to affect you? Not even 2-3 years. How's it going to affect you 2-3 days from now? You know, when you have a test, how is this going to affect you? You know, when you're looking to graduate and now you don't have enough credits or you're this issue or that issue. So that's the way I make my decisions on, hey, look, what is going to be the outcome of this if I make this decision? And I tell them the same thing. Does this benefit you in the long run?
Thank you. Sir Art, how do you make decisions?
Well, I tend to gather information first. Some people see that. Some people see that as you know, stalling. But I tend to gather information first, and then I usually synthesize the information and criticize it, you know, analyze it, and you know, use my best information to make that final decision. You know, I'm just kind of an information kind of guy. I like good information.
So I have a follow-up question for you, Art.
Okay.
Do you make decisions when you first come up with options, or do you wait until you get 10 and then you lay them out so you can see all of them, and then you look at the pros and cons of each?
Well, yeah, it all depends. I do both sometimes, if time permits.
Mhm.
I will wait to gather more information, or if I feel like I don't have enough information to make a good decision, I'll keep searching for more information. But if it's a critical decision that's got to be made, and it's got to be made right away, I'll just take whatever I have at the time and use the best judgment I can on that information and make a decision.
Right. So when I did my master's in strategic management and leadership, there was a decision-making class. There's a decision-making class. And what was taught in that class is you never make a decision until you have all the options available. And what you do is if you have 10 options or 5, you lay them all out. This is a scientific approach to making decisions, right? Lay them all out, and then you look at the benefits, the disadvantages, or pros and cons for each options. And then that is one that the likelihood of making a good decision increase, right? If you're going by pros and cons and benefits. So that was a prescribed way to do it, to make decisions, and that's what a lot of people make it in the world, in the business world. We do a full assessment of all the potential, and sometimes they're all good, but some are better than others, right? But the reason why I ask that question is a lot of our children are not being taught how to make decisions. I think that's one of the things we as parents need to pay attention to, is teaching our children how to make decisions, point them in that direction, because a lot of them are not making good decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us don't make good decisions, much as them. We're just winging it. Winging it. Sometimes we're just winging it. So how to make decision is one of the responsibility of, or one of the role of a responsible parent, and that's why I brought it up, decision making. All right, so we talk about the challenges that the next generation is going to face, but how do you encourage men to actively engage other men who are not doing it now? What do you tell them? How do they become more engaged in their children's lives? And what are the implications? What do you believe this has and will have in shaping the future generation? And Juan, will start with you.
Well, that's a loaded question. But I think it starts with just simply being present. There's a lot of things that we could sit down, or I could speak more personally, just sit down and just write a whole, method or process out. But I've learned a lot and gathered a lot about my kids, from students to my own, to just people and situations when I was present. I think being extremely observant. And paying attention. He talked about critical thinking and just discernment. And I think those two, I don't think we give enough credit or enough emphasis to those two things. And just knowing what's going on and what's not being said in the room with your children or whomever else you're around. And I think being an example would be the next one. Like, trying to figure out how to have the conversation, or what to share, or how to meet them where I am. Because one thing I learned when I became an educator is definitely these generations are a lot different, but there's still some similarities. But I had to learn how to meet them where they are. And by meeting them where they are, it is a humbling thing to do, and a humbling approach. But I always start by just asking them, I want to know, what's on their mind, instead of me going in and talking at them, right, and doing things for them or doing things to them. My approach is always doing it with them. So then tell me what's going on, or how do you see it? I think that's a approach that I would take. It's definitely just sitting in the room, observing, paying attention, picking up on some things, asking some questions, and then just really seeing where their mind is, or their outlook on life. Be it your children, they could be 5 years. I've been having conversations like this with Savannah since she was 2. And my mom said about a month ago, she laughed because she was watching and she was like, "Did you ever think that you would be sitting here having these type of conversations with your child?" I said, I did. That's what I envisioned. That's what I looked forward to. And that's why I never did the Google Gaga. It was always, even when she just looked and she wasn't able to respond. I was like, "What you think about that? Did you see?" I would just start talking to her. Our face would light up. She didn't say anything, and I've always done that. I envisioned it. So this day now we sit down and we have talks just like we have on this show.
Like we're having this show. That's amazing. Powerful. And why are we having this show? Augusta, why are we having this show?
We're having this show because for anybody who's watching on this panel, especially because we have Miss Donna on here tonight, this is conversations amongst real people that at times other folks skip over, but it is bridging generations of men. And we said in the introduction, and for the past 4 to 6 weeks we've been talking fatherhood. No better people to have the conversation about fatherhood, about being present, about being active, about holding other fathers accountable than fathers. And I think even to your last question, how do you encouragement? That's how you hold them accountable. I take pride in the fact that, to let the California in me go, I don't allow no suckers around me who won't be present with their kids. I don't allow men around me who aren't present or active fathers. Like, don't call me and want to hang out if you don't know your kid's shoe size. You haven't been present with your children. And that's what this space is for, so that some man who's watching, regardless of the topic, is getting a real conversation, a real discussion, almost a barbershop level talk, to where we're going to discuss those topics, but at the same time, in every talk, every conversation, every discussion we have, it still falls back to some level of accountability on us. Actions that need to be taken, steps that need to be taken, like resolutions that need to be made. It's not just us jaw jacking and conversing, for an hour and change. No, at the end of it, we always talk about accountability. We always discuss, how do we resolve this issue? We are always seeking answers. We're not just inquisitive in nature, but what are the outcomes we're looking to generate? That's why we do this every Thursday at 7:30, 6:30 Central.
That's why we do this. That's why we are. You heard Augusta's answer. I know if I ask one, I probably get the same answer in different words. So, Art, why are we having this show?
Well, I think it's a wonderful forum, and I think it reaches many people. And I think the more people it reaches, the better the word gets out. And I think the word that goes out tend to be problem-solving answers to whatever question. So I think the forum is a wonderful thing. And I think, the content and the context for the need for this type of forum is a wonderful thing. So I'm just down with the program.
I'm just done with the program. Let's ask Donna. Donna, you're the producer of this show. Why are you producing this show?
Well, I'm producing this show because I think it's a much needed and an important forum for men to speak about their daily walk, their daily challenges that they have, that they're faced with in our community. Because I don't think that there's really a forum where, they can come on and just be really authentic and real about what's happening in their world. A lot of the forums that we see, yes, it's mostly female. Yes, I am a female, of course. But, a lot of it, honestly, is just really us female talking about female stuff and our stuff, right? And our men don't really have such a forum and outlet. So I am happy that we're able to provide this. And you know, it's something that's phenomenal, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Thank you, Donna. And provide this, we'll continue to do, right, Juan?
Absolutely.
Right, this way. You know, it's interesting. I did a daily insights, and we're talking about men changing men facing the challenges in these times. Yeah? And one picked up on it, and we both decided, say, yeah, we need to do a show. We need to turn this thing into a show, and here we are. You know, I don't remember the title of the talk that I did, but you caught onto it, and you say I would be interested in something like that, and here we are, right? That's how ideas tend to blossom and grow, and will only become bigger. Now, I have one final question, then we'll do the closing arguments, and this could have been the very first question, but I left it for last. We're going to go around the room. I want each of you to define the role of a father in today's society. I'm gonna say, I guess you're first.
I would say protector, and when I say protector, I don't mean in the traditional sense that the old school way of protecting, of keeping the family just, you know, safe, not just protection with that security. Protection mentally, protection physically, protection emotionally. That is your primary job, to make sure that they're safe, that they feel safe, and of those two things, the outcome is that they actually are safe, and specifically mentally, being able to be that mental protection for your child, helping them block out the noise and the craziness that's in the world. That is what I would say today's father. I know that is the heaviest task for me, is making sure that my children are protected, not just physically, but also emotionally.
Who's next?
I see the role of a father as a teacher. I think it's our responsibility to teach our children things that they may or may not understand. I think as a teacher, you are a protector, because you can protect them from danger seen and unseen, just based on the fact that you've had more experience, you've observed more, you understand more. There's a tendency for our children to see things and don't quite understand what it means. Racism, for example, not quite sure what that means. And as a teacher, I would tell them that racism is a recent construct. Racism was actually brought to this country in the 17th century. Racism actually came along with the event of the Middle Passage, the event of slave trade. Before that time, there was a such thing as race, but race was used completely different from what we know race to be used as today. Race was sort of benign. You know, if there's a person from a Black African country and there's a person from a European country, yeah, they're a different race. But racism was a construct that was actually brought to America during the slave trade so that they could modify it, manipulate it, turn it into something that would justify superiority made from their advantage. And then later on in the 19th century, they added a scientific component to racism as a possible justification as to why is it that I have the right to take advantage of you and your family and your labor for free. Well, it was pretty important that they would try and come up with a justification. And that's when they brought the pseudoscience to it. Yeah, see, I told you we were superior. I think it's important for us to teach our kids, the difference between what actually happens and what, is reality. So as a parent, I just serve the role as a teacher.
Mm. That is quite a noble profession, to be a teacher. And we should all be students until that day.
Absolutely.
No better place to be, to have a teacher and be a student. Juan.
I would say so many things came to mind, but what made sense was I would say as a father, a parent today would be to become all things to all people. And what I mean by that is real quickly, in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, Paul talks about that. And he's kind of just talking through like how he saves souls, how he wins the more for the faith or for Christ. And he was like, I become all things to all people, that by all means I win some or I save some. And I think about all the things that are just they have access to today at their disposal. And just when it comes to talks about mental health and just loneliness and depression and self-esteem, just all these different things, I think it takes an approach of just becoming all things to win some, whatever it takes. That doesn't cause you to compromise, but whatever it takes to reach our children, these generations, is the approach that we should take. That sound.
I believe all the answers are correct. And if I can sum it up, I would say to be a leader in my home, my family. And to lead, I'll teach, I'll protect, and I'll do just what you said. One is to lead my family, my children, to be that example and all that good stuff. Someone that they can now follow and to be like, become. And that's what I for me, but they're all correct. And all of what everyone said have something to do with teaching, with leading, but just to summarize it, we need to become better leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Better leaders. And I think that is one of the fallouts where so many men have come up short. So many fathers. They haven't shown up. You gotta be a better leader in your own life, first and foremost. And then transfer that to your children's life as well. Imagine now you got there. Because kids, they watch us more than they listen to us. You know that. Mm-hmm. Children. They watch us more than they listen to us. They see the moves you're making. They see what you're doing. And I remember the first time I had a job, and my daughter, Tremaine, said she was shocked because I was always owning my own business. She said, Dad, I can't get used to this. Because she never seen me going to work. She always see me having my own business. So they pay attention. They watch you.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment I just went off a little bit and got a little job, She said it messed with her up here. She had to come to terms with that. They watch you. So when we lead, we set good examples. When we lead, we listen, we pay attention. When we lead, we're good learners. When we lead, when we're good leaders, we're great learners, right? So we learn from them as well, and we give them their opportunities to shine. Because that's what a good leader will do, right? So I think we are 1:35, our 1:35 in. I know Donna, our producer, don't like when we go over time, but she will understand. I hope you understand at least. So I think this is the time when we do closing arguments. So let's do that and take it home. Augusta, you like to go first? I know Juan will call you to go first.
Yeah. Juan is like defer. Another great conversation, another rewarding week. My word would be what it was last week: fatherhood. Regardless, continue to be present. Have the want to be a father. And like I said earlier, if you're a man and you're around men who aren't doing what they need to do as fathers, that's not your friend. Hold them accountability. Accountability is love, even when it hurts.
Yeah. It's good.
That's a big word, That's a big word, accountability, right? To be accountable. And who should be accountable to whom? You should first hold yourself accountable, right?
Absolutely.
All we have to do is look in the mirror and all the answers are there, right?
Yeah.
Start practicing on that person in the mirror. Always. Art, you taught me this a long time ago. Just look in the mirror and you'll see where it all go right or go wrong. You'll see where it's going to land right. Because if the person in the mirror is not up to the task, what is going to happen? It's going to go wrong. If the person in the mirror is up to the task, what is going to happen? It's going to go right. Check out the mirror and ask some questions. They call it introspection.
Yes.
Right? That's what they call it, right? That's the fancy name for it. Look in the mirror. Look inside. Look within. Quiet the noise. Shut the noise. Close the noise. Be quiet. Be still. And listen to your inner self. It'll tell you a lot. If you want to hear it. If you're willing to hear it, right? So, Art, closing arguments, please.
Well, I think parents should keep the children in their loop even after they're adults. When you keep them in your loop, you're in a position where you can learn and benefit from them as they learn and benefit from you. And they can enjoy the camaraderie and the comfort comes along with my dear old dad is in my corner. So you're in their corner and they're in yours. So that's a comfortable place to be.
I like that.
Yep.
That's the bottom line.
Comfortable place. So Juan?
Yeah, so real quick, but before Jesus, went to the cross, he ascended, he told his disciples, the people he cared for, he was an example for. He told them, he said, I go to a place where you can't come now, but I go to this place to prepare it for you. I go to it to prepare this place to receive you. And as we talk about parenting and then what we're doing, everything, I said, my thoughts were that that's what we should do. At any time that we're working, we're thinking we should do it with our kids in mind, that we're creating a space for them to be received, that whenever they come to this place, they feel safe, they feel welcomed, it feels like home. And so creating that environment, that space that's safe, judgment-free, loving, caring, because if they find that place, development is exponential. growth is exponential. If they are welcomed into that place and that environment that us as fathers, as parents, create to receive them. And receive everything that comes with them, whatever they bring, whatever the thoughts are, arguments, frustrations, just whatever it is, just to receive them as they are.
See, we're not to be so judgmental, right? Often we look at other parents and their situation, and we're too quick to condemn. Oh, the parents must have been terrible. They have done this, done that. My piece tonight is, let's not be judgmental. Listen more. Be active listeners. Pay attention. Listen more. And understand that often things happen in life, and it's not the parents' fault why their children make some bad decisions. We talk about peer pressure tonight. We talk about outside influences and so forth. You could be the best parent in the world, best dad, best father, and yet your children, your son, your daughter, make some terrible decisions.
Yeah.
Happens all the time, right? Happens all the time.
Absolutely.
So let's not be so judgmental, and let's not rush to judgment. Ask questions. Try and understand, why, before you draw conclusions. That is my final piece as a parent. Donna, you want to share your thoughts on this?
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for that opportunity. I would just, mine is probably just way left. I just want to say probably a word to moms. Allow our men to be dads. That's it.
That was good.
Where's Art?
Oh, we lost Art. Oh my gosh, my words made me lose Art.
He chased him off the screen. Why did you do that? I think he had said that his battery life. Yeah. We just, so often there's a conflict, right, in the home. There's a conflict in the home. The mother, and that happens a lot too after the relationship is over, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the conversation we're going to have. What happens after the relationship close out? I think we'll take that topic on, right?
Yeah, life after the end.
Is that what you call it? Life after the end.
Important topic to.
Yeah, we'll take that on. Here, we don't want to close before. Let's bring Art back on. Oh, we gotta stop fighting each other. What happened? Donna brought him on. I clicked him on. So it reversed what she did. And we've been doing that all night. So I need to let Donna do her job. I do mine. So Art, so what was that topic again we're going to tackle? So Art, Donna had said something that knocked you off the screen. Donna, can you repeat what you said?
I just said that moms let dads be dads.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Okay. And as a follow-up to that, a topic we're going to take on is what was that topic again?
Life after the end.
When the
end of the relationship. Yeah, when the relationship ends.
When the relationship ceases to exist.
Yeah.
How do we manage?
Yeah.
Our parenting role.
Yeah. That's good.
That's a big one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
How do we manage? So that's all we have for tonight. Art, you're always welcome to come on. Especially you got the camera thing figured out. It's perfect now.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. You know, you're welcome to always come on and be a part of this discourse. You know, you are. Now before we go, we'll go. Augusta, what category you fall in? Are you a resilient man? Are you a brave man? Are you an empowered man? Are you a, what's the next one?
Resilient, empowered, brave.
Brave.
There's a song that we listen to, and I can't think of it.
Which one are you?
We got a whole song.
Which one are you?
I keep saying, I believe at every stage of my life, I've been a little bit of, I've had to be brave. I've had to be resilient.
I need one.
Right now, I would
Inspired.
say, man, listen, inspired. I'm the resilient man. Because I'm
Oh,
going to bounce back.
He knows where he belongs, right? Right,
Yes,
Juan? He knows where he
Mhm.
belongs. You're
Absolutely.
the resilient man, you know. Juan, which one are you?
Resilient. Definitely resilient.
Wow.
Definitely resilient.
Donna, which one? No, Donna, which one you like the most? Let's ask Donna which one she liked the
I
most.
like all of them.
Which man are you, Donna?
You
Which
can
man are
only
you?
pick one, Donna. You can only pick one. You can only pick one.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I think I like resilient.
Oh my goodness, this is so resilient.
Yeah, I think I do. I think I
You
like,
like a man that knows where he belongs.
yeah, because I think you've had to go through all those other things to get to the point of resilient.
That's good.
Art, which one are you? Are you resilient,
You have to remind me of what's left.
empowered, inspiring, and brave? The brave man faces the darkest night.
I'll go with the brave man.
Okay, so we have 2 brave ones and 3 resilient.
Well, I'm a little bit flexible because I see myself in all of them.
You can only pick one. You can only pick one. You can only pick one, Art.
Oh,
There is a trait that is going to stand out more.
Okay, somebody's taking the brave man already.
No, it can be more than one. We have 3 resilient over there.
Well, I'll stick with the brave man right now.
Okay, so your story, your tale, your story of courage and conviction is going to be centered and be inspired by that brave man.
Yeah.
And that means that you face the darkest night and you come out and you're still running.
There you go. I'll take a licking and keep on ticking.
And these resilient people, they just know where they belong. No matter what is going on, they know that this is where they belong. All right, guys, this was a great show, great conversation, a good way to end it with some humor, with some fun.
Yes.
That was awesome. So, Juan, you know what you do. You take us home, right?
Yes. We are so thrilled for you to join us tonight. We look forward to seeing you next week. As Augusta said, same day every week, 7:30. Check us out. For those who are watching, even watching the playback, like, comment, and share. Join us every week. We look forward to it. And hey, get some rest. Peace and love to all. Have a good one.
Okay.
Caught in the web of what they said, lost in the expectations, living in hesitation. I walked in other shadows. Deep inside, a fire burned, a whisper turned to a roar. I am liberated from walking in other shadows. I walk in my authentic self, breaking chains within. From the shadows to the light, a new life begins, shining so bright. Society tries to mold you into someone you couldn't be, fighting through the darkness to find the real me. No longer bound by others' rules, let your spirit soar. With every step you take, you